let me ask you something. Are you a plopper? Now, what does that mean? Do you fall when you sit, or are you able to decelerate, take your time, and sit down gently? So if you fall, that's what I call plopping. But if you know how to gently sit down, control the deceleration so you sit down softly, then you are essentially not a plopper. Now, why this matters a lot is I've seen this so many times in many of my clients between 20s to 70s. Many of the times we are active ploppers. And so the younger we are, and the more we simply just trust the seat to be able to catch ourselves all the time, when we're sitting down, those muscles aren't learning how to decelerate. And as we age, when we get to the floor, we have no idea how to decelerate. So we look down at the floor thinking, yeah, I never want to get down there. So many of my active clients that are getting older are fearing ground-based movements. In my opinion, is because we've been plopping for so long that this last section that we're sitting, the body has no idea how to balance and decelerate, and so we're constantly falling into something that's just 2 feet high. And so if we need to get another 2 feet all the way to the ground and the brain doesn't even know how to cover this distance, that is so far away. So we end up losing the mobility to actually get to the ground. And over time, that compounds to become an issue where we don't know and fear ground-based movements, and so we just never ever end up on the floor again. And that's one of the biggest issues as we age, is fearing the ground. We don't even fear death as much as fearing from falling. And so if you're not teaching your muscles how to learn how to decelerate by finding your center of gravity, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So typically why we end up plopping is because we have no idea what the base of our feet actually feel like. 90% of the time when we're standing, pay attention, you are most likely on your heels and you're most likely pronating a little bit. So if you just look down at your foot, I explained this in the tripod and a lot of my other videos, is that the foot pronating means that these ankle bones rotate inwards, which closes off the hip and also typically makes you shift your weight towards your heels. Your toes are constantly floating off the ground. And if your toes are floating, there's no balance over there. Hence, when you sit, you're naturally going to fall onto your heels even more. So my main cue is to, one, feel the stability and balance in your entire foot. And I challenge you to actually feel what it's like when you find your tripod. I'll link that in the descriptions of the videos below. And then I want you to feel your toes press into the ground. And my final cue is to feel your entire body neutral and tilt forward. Tilt forward as in shift your weight with your entire body onto your toes until you feel your toes press into the ground. Now, keeping the same forward tilt the entire time, you're going to sit your hips back, open up the hips, stay over your toes. The body will always want to start shifting towards the heels. Stay over your toes and keep shifting your butt back until you can completely control the deceleration. There's a lot of times it's so much harder than people think. Well, most of the times we get here, you're on your heels again, and we're not aware of that. So pay attention. Are your toes lifting? Are you able to keep your weight pressed forward and then sinking your hip back so that your shoulders counterbalance your hip? So notice my upper body is going forward as my hips go back, but I'm staying over the base and the center of my foot. You actually want to feel your arch working, and your weight is actually here in the middle of your foot instead of towards your heels. And so the more you can play around with tilting your weight forward as you sit back so your foot stays glued to the ground and is not peeling off the toes, hence you're falling back, it's staying forward. This is something that I cue my clients every single day, and most of the time we just don't have awareness of where our foot is in space. So anytime you walk, do lower body based movements, whether it's squats, lunges, deadlifts or anything, try to actually feel your entire foot glued into the ground without gripping. It just feels like it's flat and neutral. So even weight between the heel and the toes, and then move from that base. So your foot is the base, your hips, your shoulders, the rest of your body move around the foot. Hopefully that's a quick little tip for you to build more awareness on, and keep dabbling. I know it's been a long time since I made a video, but I am back. Hopefully becoming a little bit more consistent. Keep in touch with my channel, Andy Schaefer Movement Reborn. Good to see you again. Cheers.